Hello viewers, in the previous class we have discussed or we have defined pressure. uh, then we have stated that pressure is constant from all the directions in a fluid. As we go deep inside the fluid, then the fluid element or pressure at a point is constant from all the directions, and we have defined that it is a scalar quantity, and we have briefed the difference between stress and pressure. That is, the stress has three things to define, that is its magnitude and the direction or the sense, that is either it is compressive or tensile. And we have discussed that the stress needs a plane of reference uh, to tell to define its state. That means for different planes of references, we get different state of stresses. Suppose if this is uh, if this is your cylinder and is loaded like this with force F on both the sides, it is in tensile loading condition, right? So for each and every plane of this cylinder, there can be n number of planes. You can divide this cylinder into n number of planes. For this plane, it will experience different stresses. Okay, it may experience tensile stress as well as shear stress too. This you should be learning that in strength of materials, analysis of stresses and strains. In that chapter you will be learning, but this is important to differentiate what is pressure and what is stress. Okay, because as to define the state of stress, we require the magnitude, the direction, and the plane of reference. That is, at which plane we are talking about. Okay, in today's class, we will be discussing what is. We'll be starting Pascal's law. Okay, 1 minute. Now, what does Pascal's law say? As we have discussed yesterday, the Pascal's law says that pressure at any point, pressure at any point in a fluid will be same from all the directions. Okay, now we are deriving the Pascal's law. We'll come at a conclusion that the pressure acting at any point in the fluid will be of constant magnitude, acting from all the directions. Okay, from any direction it will be of constant magnitude. Okay, suppose this is your fluid stop surface, fluid at rest. Okay, and we'll consider an element. Okay, we'll consider a fluid element. Okay, what is this fluid element? It is the element of the fluid only. If this is your water, then we are considering an element of water only. We are considering some shape. Okay, some part of the fluid where we are basing our study, where we are studying what is the effect of pressure on it, and all the other things. Okay, this is just a fluid element. It is not any other different element like wood, cork, etc. This is a fluid element itself. It's just a portion of the fluid we are considering in some shape. Okay, for our study, you can take any shape. Okay, for our study we are considering wedge shape. You'll understand this once we arrive at the conclusion why we are taking wedge shape also. Okay, it's a simple logic behind it. Okay, now let's take, this is infinitesimally small element. Okay, very small. It is a point actually. Okay, we are studying the pressure acting at a point. Okay, so this is a point only in a wedge shape. Okay, so let's take this length as dx. We'll define the reference axes first. Reference axis like this. Okay, this is suppose dx. Okay, and let's take this as dy, and let's take this as dz. Okay, the linear one to the right side is dx, into the board is dy, and towards top is dz. So this is your dz and this is your wedge, so this is dy. Okay, all the lengths are clear, right? And this is the angle theta of the wedge angle, and the inclined length, let's take that as L. Okay, all these lengths are clear, right? This is L, this is L, and this is dy. This length is dy, and this length is dz, right? This length is dx, right? Dx, dy, dz, and this is theta. Okay, all these things are clear, right? Now, okay, next thing, we'll take another board. Okay, now as it is infinitesimally small element, it will be acted by for pressure like this. Suppose in x direction pressure is P1, and in y direction pressure is P2, and in this inclined direction pressure is P3. Okay, it will be acted by pressure, right, in all the directions. This is P1, this is P2, and this is P3. Okay, in x direction we are defining pressure as P1, in y P2, and P3. Okay, now this is your angle theta. Now as your liquid your fluid is in equilibrium, that is, it is static. We are studying fluid statics, so the forces should be balanced, right? As we are studying fluid statics, all the pressure forces, all the forces on that element should be zero, right, as it is at rest. Okay, so now what we will do is we will find all the forces in all the directions and then equate that to zero. The net force will equate that to zero. For the conditions of the equilibrium, from engineering mechanics we have learned that summation fx will be 0, summation fy will be 0, fz also will be 0. Okay, so here summation, let's do summation fx. Before that, let's define this angle also, as this is your angle theta, and this is P1 here you have P2, and here you have P3. Okay, now as this angle is theta, then this will be 90 minus theta, right? And this will be theta then. So now I hope you got the inclination of P3. Okay, now we will equate the forces in x direction to 0. Similarly, we will equate the forces in y direction to 0. Okay, now let's take another board. Before taking forces, we need to have correct idea of the areas. Few students are good at that and few are very bad at that, in perceiving which area to be taken. Okay, this is your P1. Okay, this is your P1, this is your dx, this is your dy. Okay, and this is your dz, right? Now the area on which P1 is acting is dy into dz. Okay, this is your area, this is dy, and this is dz. Okay, this red color area is your area on which pressure P1 is acting. Okay, similarly this yellow color area is the area on which pressure P2 is acting, right? This is your pressure P2. Okay, it is acting on this area, dx into dy. And similarly pressure P3 is acting on this area, dy into suppose we have defined this as L, right? Dy into L. Okay, now we'll equate the forces. P1 into dz into dy is the x direction component, not component, x direction pressure force, And similarly, from P2 will we get any pressure force in x direction? No, as it is totally in y direction. From P3 we will be getting P3, this as this is theta, P3 sin theta will be there, sine component, P3 sin theta, and the area on which it is acting is L dy, right? This area, blue color area, is L dy, right? Right. Now we'll do summation fx. Now summation fx is equals to 0. Summation fx will be p1 into dz into dy, red color area, dz into dy, p1 into dz into dy, okay, and p3 sin theta into L dy, p3 sin theta into L dy minus p3 sin theta. You should be fast in these areas, L dy, p3 sin theta into L dy. Any other force in x direction? No force, so equate that to 0. Okay, now what is this component L sin theta? What is this component L sin theta from this? As this is your theta, what is L sin theta? L by dz is sin theta, so L sin theta will be dz. As L by dz is sin theta, L sin theta will be dz. So substitute L sin theta as dz. You will get one more board. You will get P1 into dz dy minus P3 into dz dy equals to 0. This dz dy will get cancelled, and finally you will get P1 is equals to P3. As this is a point, we have come at a conclusion that P1 is equals to P3. Okay, this pressure P1 is equals to this pressure P1 is equals to this pressure P3. Okay, this pressure P1 is equals to this pressure P3, this inclined pressure P3. Now what is left? We have to prove that P2 is also same as P1 and P3. Okay, next thing we'll do is simpler. Just summation fy is equals to 0. Okay, summation fy is equals to 0. Now what is the force acting in the y direction? One is the P2 force, P2 into dx dy, the yellow color area, P2 into dx dy, right here, P2 into dx into dy, and one more force because of P3 cos theta in the negative y direction, P3 cos theta, and the area on which it is acting is L dy, right, minus P3 cos theta into L dy. Now again, what is L cos theta from this diagram? What is L cos theta? L cos theta, okay, L by dx by L is cos theta, right? Dx by adjacent side by hypotenuse is cos theta, right? Dx by L is cos theta, so L cos theta is dx. What is L cos theta? Substitute L cos theta as dx. Okay, now you will get P2 into dx dy minus P3 into dx dy is equals to 0, right? One thing we forgot one thing. What is that? The weight force. Okay, we have forgot the weight force. Let's delete this. We forgot weight force. This is dx dy. Okay, we have forgot weight force. It is acting in the weight will act from center of gravity in the downward direction. What will be the weight? It will be density minus density into volume into g. What is the volume? Volume is dx, dy and dz, half dx, dy and dz, as this is a wedge shape. Half into area, half into, see, area into length will be volume, half dx dz will be area, and into the if you multiply that with dy, you will get the volume, half dx dz into dy. So similarly I have written half dx dy dz, this is your volume, into g, this is your weight. So now we have to substitute L cos theta as dx, this L cos theta as dx, you have to substitute L cos theta as dx, and now this is equals to 0. Anything else left? Nothing, right? Now this entire term is equals to 0. So from this dx dy will get cancelled, right? And only what is remaining is P2 minus P3 minus rho g dz is equals to 0. Okay, this is your extra term remaining. But we have considered that our element is a point, right? The dimension of the point is very negligible. Okay, so we can neglect this dimension dz. Okay, we are assuming it is as a point, so this dz is very less. We have dz, okay, it is not like there is no dz, but it is very less. Okay, it is very less, so this term will be almost equal to 0. Okay, this term will be almost equals to 0. So what you are left with is P2 minus P3 is 0, which implies P2 is equals to P3, right? From here we say that P1 is equals to P2 is equals to P3. Okay, the pressure at this point, that we have considered as wedge is same in all the directions, that is P1 is equals to P2 is equals to P3. Okay, just go through this once again, you'll understand it clearly. Now why we have taken wedge? Can anyone tell? Can anyone assume why we have taken wedge? In order to equate this P3 to P1 and P2. That means not equate, that it will be easier for our calculation, right? If you are taking inclined also, so inclined force also, if you are considering inclined force also, then the inclined pressure also it is getting equated. So you, by this you can conclude that the horizontal force, the vertical force, as well as the horizontal pressure, the vertical pressure, as well as the inclined pressure, all three pressures are equal in magnitude. Okay, that's why we took wedge, right? We get inclined pressure also in wedge. This inclined pressure we are able to equate to the P2 and P3. Okay, now what is the conclusion of the Pascal's law? The pressure at a point in a fluid is constant in magnitude, and also we have studied that pressure is, in the previous video we studied that pressure is compressive in nature. Okay, pressure is compressive in nature and it is in constant magnitude. Okay, now a small topic based on Mohr's circle. You got one question in GATE based on this. What is the hydrostatic state of stress represented in Mohr's circle? What is hydrostatic state of stress? Hydrostatic state of stress is pressure, right? It is of constant magnitude. Hydrostatic state of stress, when the fluid is at rest, it is in static condition, it is acted by pressure like this from all the directions, it is of constant magnitude P. Okay, now this P is compressive in nature. How do you represent stresses on Mohr's circle? What is Mohr's circle actually? It is a graphical representation of normal stress and shear stress, right? What is Mohr's circle? It is the representation of normal stress and graphical representation of normal stress and shear stresses. Okay, as I've told earlier that any body when it is loaded on different planes you will get different stresses. Okay, you will study that in analysis of stresses and strains in strength of materials. on different planes you'll get different stresses. In different planes you'll get different stresses. Okay, so what is pressure? It is a compressive force. So and for hydrostatic state of stress there is no shear stress as the body is not moving, so there is only one stress, that is compressive. So it will be in negative x direction and a constant magnitude of P, right? And is there any shear stress? No. So what is the radius? What is the radius of Mohr circle? Maximum shear stress. As there is no shear stress, the radius is 0. So what is the Mohr circle for hydrostatic state of stress or pressure? It is a point. Okay, it is a point. Okay, in the next video we will be discussing hydrostatic law, and then which is the basis for pressure measurement. Okay, we will be discussing hydrostatic law. Till here it is clear, right? Go to the video once again. Your concepts will get clear. We have defined pressure. Okay, then we have told that it is constant. Then we have proved now how it is constant. We have proved how it is constant by Pascal's law, right? We have also defined Mohr circle for pressure. It is a point, right? I think these concepts are clear right now. Okay, bye.